Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to the orientation for CP1 actuarial practice. One thing about CP1 is that yes, it is the lengthiest subject in the number of when we look at in terms of number of chapters, number of pages of the course notes, etc. But it's not as tedious as we think about it. Like when we compare it to CM2, CS2, and all those hard topics. This is not how CP1 looks like. And even all the CT papers that we compare with, they are more focused upon, learning a new concept and applying it in terms of formula or applying in terms of, let's say, a small commenting type of a question, so on, so forth. Out here, this is more relevant in terms of learning a theoretical area. And then actually, if a similar area arises, how do you ensure you handle the same? So, like I mentioned, yes, it's a bigger subject, but as the quote below says, nothing is particularly hard if it is broken down into smaller jobs. So, we will ensure we are making up weekly targets and going slowly, steadily throughout the period so that we manage to complete the entire portion well on time. A little bit intro about myself. I am Sunny Savla. I'm a qualified actuary and FRM. I have been designated as India's youngest actuary by the India Book of Records. I have been teaching at the academy since 4.5 years now, and CP for CP1, this will be the seventh batch that we'll be conducting. So, yes, end to end, I'll be involved throughout as the lead faculty and the only faculty. The reason being CP1 generally, our batch sizes are not that as big as, let's say, CS1 or CM1. CP1 batch sizes in April were somewhat around 20 to 25. The reason being that, yes, it's a bigger attempt. So there are people who normally wait for a bigger attempt and give CP1. But out here, there is no such thing like that. Another myth to clear is that if you look at September exams as well as April exams, the number of people appearing and the pass rates more or less is same. So it does not matter if you are waiting for an April one or September one, as long as you are able to complete a lot of things around it. So some of the materials that we provide as a part of CP1 would be definitely the course notes, the revision notes, the flashcards, and something known as study notes. So, what are these study notes? They are internally curated by us, and out here, these are the notes which we have developed ourselves. So, I'll give you a quick glimpse around the same and how do they look like so that you just can get an idea. So it's a subject where you have to just keep writing points, more and more points, and more and more content around a lot of things. So let me just open up another PPT just so that you can get an idea. So this is how it looks like that there are topics, there are summarized topics. The whole course notes, this will be a 20-25 pager course notes for this chapter, but it's broken down into all the relevant points and all the relevant info that you need to use while writing your paper. Okay, so here it's majorly focused in terms of bullet points, the quantity of bullet points, and the differences between each bullet points. So they will ask you a simple question that tomorrow you want to invest your money. You are an individual aged whatever 30, and you want to invest your money. What are the factors that can affect your investment strategy? Now, these are the type of questions will come in, and out here, however simple it seems, but when you write from a blank sheet of paper, people can get confused again and again. Out here, we need to ensure that we write more than 10, 12, 15 points and ensure they are different from one another. You don't keep repeating the same point. So yeah, there are so many things that affects, while deciding a particular investment strategy. Similarly, for different companies, and these companies can be anything. What if they talk to you about a manufacturing company? What if they talk to you about a startup? Their liabilities will be different. Their investment criteria will be different. What if they talk to you about a bank or a pension scheme, right? So this is the chapter. I'll give you a quick idea. This is the chapter where it talks about what are the factors factors that can affect an investment strategy of a particular firm. Now, this firm can be anything. There are hundreds of options in which I can tailor the question. I can say it's a very small firm with, lack of cash flows, or it does not have enough cash flows, so on and so forth. I can talk to it and say it's a mutual fund company, it's a credit card company, or anything. You have to understand what are the liabilities of that company, what could be the potential portfolio or current investments of the company, and now how would you help to decide their investment strategy, and what are the factors that can help them or support them in that. Okay, so this is the new part. What if they even ask you what are the factors that affects government's investment strategy? Even government has a particular budget, even they have expenses, income flows, even they do investments. So how do you decide it? So in the chapter, we'll be very restricted to a particular topic at hand. Similarly, I'll give you one more example which can, make you understand how CP1 looks like. So let me move to chapter 3. Chapter 3, just a second, it's opening. Chapter 3 is regulation. Now, when I talk about regulation, here in the chapter, they only focus upon the common regulators. These common regulators will be your banking regulator and will be your insurance regulator. Why? Because yes, these are the only two ones. And what are the functions of those regulators? So we have certain points. What is the need for regulation? We have certain points. Now, what if they ask you that, okay, the government is planning to set up a cryptocurrency regulator. The government is planning to set up a, let's say, a airline regulator or a telecommunication. We have it, right? Even we have a TRAI, telecommunications regulator. We have a food and industry, food and drug regulator as well. So if at all the government talks about all of these things and they decide to appoint a regulator, what are the functions of that regulator? It can be a mutual fund regulator as well. It can be a regulator which regulates all NBFCs as well. So these are the 5-6 different branches that I made out of it. Another example which was even asked in one of the papers, data regulator. Okay, so what will be the function of that? It can't be improved security. It's not financial security, it's data security. Then efficient orderly markets is not correct, but efficient flow of data and efficient storage of data to protect consumers and the people who are storing the data, to maintain confidence can be simple, to avoid all the data thefts and everything. So these are the things where, to ensure that the customers know where the data is being used. Then other function is just how in case of banks and insurance companies, right? So we give licenses to this company to make the business. Similarly, we can give licenses to the companies who are saving your data, and only the company with a license certificate will be allowed to store your data. You can also look at their, registration number, their certificate number, and then only provide your personal data so that your data will be safe, right? If at all there is a breach, they will do fines and penalties on the companies breaching the data regulations. So many things. Even normal regulators do advertisements to make consumers aware. You might have seen advertisements from RBI. You might have seen advertisements from the insurance regulator that, okay, buy insurance and how it is helpful. Similarly, data regulators will also do advertisements. So what we did is, out here in the chapter, yes, I understand we are learning about regulation. While you might read this chapter, you might feel that, this is very easy, but the question in the exam and the way that the examiners structure everything, that is something that is completely unpredictable and that can never be easy. So my question, and even you might be asking a simple question, how do we tackle this out? Yes, we have our study notes. Study notes will help you to summarize the course notes to a huge extent. Everything in course notes will be, technically covered, and you won't be missing anything, and it will be covered in a proper pointer format. So yes, that's resorted. But how do we ensure that, even if outside the book, which is what CP1 is all about, how do we do that? So for that, before moving to the syllabus, I'll tell you how our structure is, that in the live lectures, we hold something known as brainstorming sessions. So what are these sessions? In the live lectures, I will not again focus upon the chapters. I'll not again go through these chapters. The reason being, out of 200 marks of CP1. CP1 paper A 100, paper B 100. Of 200 marks, barely 20 to 25 marks are direct questions. What do you mean by direct questions? Directly from the course notes, directly from my notes, you are able to answer without any difficulty. Which means, imagine in this particular example, we saw insurance regulator, and it is there in the books. If at all they ask that same question, and that becomes a direct question. Okay, so direct questions are very less, and the more indirect and case study based questions, that is where we need to approach around. So what do we look at? For each combination of 2 to 3 chapters, we hold a discussion session where we put forward such topics that, okay, I'll give you another example about insurances. In case of this particular CP1, they talk about all the common insurance types, the life insurance, the health insurance, and everyone knows it. But what if it is a travel insurance? What if it is some unique, electronic vehicle insurance? How is it different from a car insurance? What different underwritings will you do? So what if it's something like a event insurance, a concert insurance, a sports event insurance? How would you do the underwriting? How will you do the pricing, reserving, and how will you set assumptions and everything? So this is a very, very open-ended area. So all of these, again, I'll not say we will cover all, but definitely we will discuss 8 to 10 more topics apart from what is there in the course notes. Course notes will have limited topics. They will have common house insurance, fire insurance, and everything. Yes, that those are important. I'm not saying, but on similar lines, we will discuss around a lot of non-traditional insurances, lot of non-traditional areas and questions, so that actually you get a fair understanding of how do you structure your answer to those. Our main perspective is learning, not, we're not learning course notes. We are reading course notes very quickly and learning to apply them. That learning to apply is the more focus area, which everyone misses out. Okay, they only focus on course notes and they'll only like, CP1 is easy. I'll be reading the course notes. I'll be completing them 15 days prior to the exams and I'll just be solving 1, 2 papers and I am done with it. No, very high chances that you might not clear the exam. Okay, so our focus will be completely question oriented, and questions are not like you can form a pattern around the same, just how you used to do in CB and CT series papers. Out here, questions won't have patterns. They'll be all random. Even the examiner might not know what the question is. They'll be all very random, even from non-financial topic areas as well. So this is how we approach it in our live lectures. Okay. So, meanwhile, just quickly going through the portion and the structure, there are 10 sections and there are 10 booklets. Booklets means the revision note booklets. So 38 chapters in total are broken down into 10 booklets. Just give me a minute. So we have for all the chapters a certain expected date of completion as well. Normally, how should your approach be is that you need to watch the recorded lectures of each of these particular chapters. Okay. The recorded lectures will cover what is explained in the PPT notes, will cover each and every detail around the PPT notes, the topics which are there as a part of the course notes. So all of these things will be handled very well in the recorded lectures. On an average, these lectures per chapter will be 2.5 to 3 hours each. Okay, so imagine that is the time that you take to complete a lecture, and then that completes almost everything around the course notes. But still, after the lecture, you can just sit and quickly scroll through. I'll not even say read through, quickly scroll through the course notes. So once you read through the course notes, roughly it will take you another hour. Okay, at max. I understand there'll be 20 pages, but you don't have to sit and read everything because everything in summarized formats is covered in my study notes. Whatever, suppose, in between there are sometimes some questions or some other things, that is some things that I want you to cover through the course notes. Once that's done, look at the practice questions behind the course notes. Even they'll be very easy. They mention that they are exam style, but they are very relatively easier. Okay. So once everything is done, this will take you not more than 5 hours hours to actually complete a chapter end to end. Okay, this is average 5 hours. Some chapters will take 6 and 7, but some chapters will even be done in 3 or 4. So this is not very tricky or very difficult. So that is the average time that you should be taking for each and every chapter. However, once we are done with, let's say, 3 or 4 chapters, there will be, specific booklet for that particular chapter. And this booklet will have many questions, roughly 25-30 questions, which are past paper based. So solving them is much more important than focusing course notes. Yes, course notes reading is important just once in a while, nothing much, just quickly read through. But the other important part is just solving those past paper questions. This attempt specifically, this was something we were not doing till last attempt. This attempt, we are planning that from each of the revision note booklets, I will randomly pick out 1 or 2, 3 questions and we will discuss in the lecture on how do we solve the same. Okay, so that even that is covered, because few of the cases in the last batches, people had doubts that, okay, there is a question, how do we approach it and how do we solve it? We will be anyway solving a lot of questions in brainstorming sessions ourselves, but we will take up 1 or 2 of these fast revision note booklet questions as well. Okay, so that will give us an idea. Again, I'll not say that 2 questions will help you to understand everything. The reason being that there is no pattern in this. In your CM2 or CS2, you would know that in one chapter there are generally 4 to 5 type of questions that can come. No, out here, lot of chapters do not have those kind of patterns. Some chapters do have. So we will do one thing, that while I'll ask you to make notes, your notes should only involve writing different type of questions that a particular chapter can come through. So basically, in a particular chapter, let's say chapter is regulation, what are the type of questions that can be asked in this particular chapter? Different types, in the sense, I'll say that write functions of the regulation, write needs of the regulation, write the different types of regulation that the government can come through. So example, these are the 3 types, but the case study behind it can be anything. It can be life insurance, it can be health, it can be pensions, it can be mutual fund regulator, anything like that, because that list will be very big. Okay, so hope you understand that 2 things. One thing is a slight bit of a question type, that okay, how would you pricing a particular product? So how would you price a life insurance, or what are the assumptions used in pricing life insurance, assumption used in health insurance, so on and so forth. So assumptions used is a question type. Okay, but what products, the number of products can be just many. So that is where we will need to, improve ourselves on different type of products. But what you can do while making notes is, just from each chapter, understand the grouping of questions. I'll say that still you will be able to group 30 to 40% of the questions. Okay, so even that grouping, and if you make yourself strong in those groupings, trust me, those 30-40% will be very easy for you. Okay, because any question that can come around those similar lines, you'll be able to answer. New questions, I understand definitely that requires a lot of practice and overall, thinking outside the horizon, how you are able to structure an answer. But whatever is on similar lines, at least there you can get more marks. So this is section 1, 2, then section 3, asset markets, ALM investments. As you can see, we started with regulation, we started with pensions insurance, then markets, then ALM and investment management, then data modeling, then pricing contracts, then expenses, then risk management, then provisions, then capital and surplus. So technically, just everything is being covered. So again, another myth to burst, if at all you hear people around you saying that, why are you giving CP1 without work experience? It's completely baseless. The reason being, you tell me, can someone have a work experience in all of these areas? Can someone have a work experience in regulation, external environment? I understand life insurance, but in one product, right? They don't work on 6 different products together. Do they work on annuity as well as life insurance, as well as whole life, as well as key person cover? In this chapter, we'll learn about 10 different products. In general insurance, we'll learn about 15 different products. So people work in PNC example, they work in house and contents, they work in marine and hull cargo, even I have few people who are working in there. Okay. But do they work on all the types, B2B segments, B2C? Do they work on pricing as well, reserving as well, modeling as well, shareholder reporting? It's impossible. Okay. And from the investment side, see, from investment side, only very few actuaries they work around this. Very few actuaries work around risk management side. So how do you think experience will benefit here? So technically for CP2 and CP3 papers that we look at the later papers, CP2 being actuarial modeling, Excel modeling, and CP3 being communications. That is where your report writing. That is where your Excel tips and tricks, how good you are with drafting Excel models, how good you are with explaining it to others. Because this is something, no matter which area you are into, you will do while you are working. You will make some Excel model, then you will explain it in a particular meeting to people who are not aware about it. So you will explain right from basics, right? So all of these skills are used in CP2, CP3, and I understand, yes, work experience slightly matters. Again, people without work experience are managing to clear it, but yes, but in CP1, there is no relationship with work experience. Even people with 5 years of work experience are taking 1 or 2 or 3 attempts to clear the same. Okay, so these areas are just all different from all the possible actuarial fields. And in simple terms, if you look at the index, all the items in the index are where actuaries can work around. These are basically different work areas for actuaries in simple terms. The last date for completion is 14th of August. 15th of August is what normally we plan around. Just 1 week here and there. Third week of August is just buffer timing, by when we will try to wrap up the whole 38 chapters worth of portion. Okay. So yes, we will have initially one lectures, but later on there are chances that we might have to hold 2 lectures as well during the times when we go to mid of June end or July first week. During that times, when things start getting a little bit heavier, we will start having 2 lectures overall in a particular week. So what makes CP1 different? New questions, new case study based questions in every paper, no similarities, no linkages, no, you cannot say that last year they asked about this year they will not, nothing, no patterns, no trends. Okay. It's more opinions and ideas demanded type of a paper, where if at all I ask you a question, you might have 5 points, I might have 5 points. Both of our 5 points could have been correct, and they all would be different as well, which means in a particular answer you can write 10 points, 20 points. There is no limit. The number of points can be the list is very big in most of the answers, and you can write as much as you can. That's how these questions are structured. Okay, so it's just that even they, what they are looking at is how well are you able to generate different ideas, different opinions, and different perspectives to a particular thought process. Your single thought process or a single question, you should be thinking about the pros, the cons, the negatives, and everything around the same. Okay, then core reading and past papers definitely would not suffice. The reason being that core reading is very static, and as I mentioned, out of 200 marks, rarely 25 to 30 marks worth of direct questions come in. Definitely, we don't have to lose a lot of marks in that, and it's good if at all they increase the direct questions. Reason being, before 2016, before 2019, when exams were offline and handwritten, they used to ask a lot of these direct questions. Now, what are direct questions? Direct questions are explain about the product key person cover, right? What is the difference between this and that? It's a 1 2 liner question, which is very specific to a particular area. Explain how active management differs from passive management, things like that. Okay. So it is a very specific area, and your answer will be, dependent on how well you remember the course notes. Out here now, the whole perspective around remembering things and getting a hang of it, this all has completely changed. It's all case study based, so even if you don't by heart things, it's okay. What do you mean by heart? Out here, you just have to read and reread through a few of the commonly asked questions. Like I said, regulation, need for regulation, aims of regulation. If at all you read and reread, automatically you will be aware of the 7 8 pointers, and that should be good enough. So no by hearting approach unless and until there is something which is very important repeated again and again. Those are areas I'll say that yes, try to remember a lot of points. Why? Because it's a repeated question. All of these live lectures, discussion lectures that we will hold through, we will specifically focus on what are these difficult questions. Okay, and here typing speed and paper completion matters way lot. Why? Because there is no end to an answer. If you look at CH2 or CM2, at the end, subpart 1, subpart 2, subpart 3, you solve it, you get an answer. Let's say the answer is 100. Okay, that's it. You're done with it, right? You know that the number of steps are limited and the final answer can come in. Out here, if at all they ask you that list down the risks in a particular or whatever business that they had talked about, list the risks. Now the risks are so many, for a 5 marker, you can even write 15 points, 20 points. So this is a big risk. Why? Because sometimes you might end up writing more. Initially, when people are a lot more energized, what do? For a 5 marker, they end up writing a whole page. So what happens is later on, they don't have enough time to complete. Yes, it's okay to write well, but even the upper cap needs to be maintained. The lower cap definitely is the minimum number of points, but there is an upper cap as well that you need to maintain so that everything is completed well on time. And if you can't complete CP1 even 10 minutes, 15 minutes prior, because if you have completed, it means that you have written less somewhere. Go to that questions and keep writing more around the same as well. Okay. This is like the exam pattern. Two papers, 100 mark each, 3 hour, 20 minutes, and both papers have an equal weightage. Okay, so a simple average of both papers. In paper A, you get 60, in paper B, you get 56. So the simple average will be 58, right? So that is the final score. So that's how these papers are there with equal weightage. Paper A is specifically focused on our normal actuarial papers with 7, 8, 9 different questions, and some questions have sub questions, some questions do not have sub questions. Some questions are 3 marker, 5 marker, 10 marker, 15 marker, randomly, all random. Some case study based questions and some direct questions in paper A. And paper A is just how our normal actuarial papers look like. 8 to 12 questions, some questions will have sub questions, so on and so forth. Paper B is a completely case study based where there will be only two questions. Okay, two questions where they'll give you a whole page of the case. They'll talk to you about that in a large developing country, this is the company does this. Last few years, the company was facing through these. The CEO has suggested to do these. They'll give you almost the entire page of a case to read, and then back to back 8 to 9 sub questions around the same. 50 marker or 60 marker, one question, and another question which will be 40 marker. Okay, 40 mark is a subtotal of that, but in that question there'll be, yes, 5 7 different sub questions, smaller sub questions. So question one, like I said, let's say 50 mark. So for a 50 marker, you have to read almost more than half a page of the case, understand it completely, and there'll be questions. So you have to ensure that you write in relevance to it. Okay, you don't write just random points that you have seen in course notes. All your points need to be tailored in line with what the case question is all about. Okay, so that will be paper two, and that's how paper A and paper B are different. At the end, we don't have to study something different out here. The portion remains same. The pattern in compared to, let's say, a CS or a CM paper where you have Excel or R, and slightly the way of studying becomes different. Out here, the portion remains same. The way of studying remains same. Just the way you answer these questions, that is something that kind of changes. Okay, so out here you might answer the question in more relevance to that paragraph that has been given to you and not just general points all over the place. So that's how paper 2 differs itself from. Normally, people find paper B a slightly more difficult because of a big paragraph to read and because to write everything in line with that. But people overall, end up scoring slightly better in paper B. Okay, I don't know how, but this is what is generally the trend which is seen. Any questions or anything to discuss till now? Or should we take them at the end? Let's take them at the end. Okay. So, yeah, our quick roadmap for the April exam. Oh, my bad. Our quick roadmap for the September exams. Okay. Our quick roadmap for the September exams. And the dates, the exam dates are 14th and 15th September, slightly better. Reason the last time they were 8th or 9th September, very early. So you have just one more week extra. Our portion completion, as you know, will be done by 15th of August and includes chapter-wise tests as well. There'll be 10 chapter-wise tests which will be taken, and accordingly, there'll be 3 mock tests which will be taken, and doubt-solving lectures here and there will be conducted. Our approach will be, the teaching approach will be that every week you have to complete 2 to 3 chapters by watching recorded lectures and by quickly scrolling through the course notes. Once that's done, in the live lecture, we will focus on discussing the same in terms of brainstorming sessions. Okay, we will hold brainstorming sessions and discuss many questions around the same. How do we answer the same? What are the relevant areas out of the 4 chapters? I'll give you, I'll mark you the relevant areas where questions are coming and what type of questions can they ask. Okay, so that your end goal should be every chapter make a note that what different types of questions can come in. See, the case study behind it can be infinite, can be non-predictable, completely unpredictable, and can be anything. But at least the type of questions, let's say the list the risks, okay, or describe the risks. So describe the risk and mitigation. That's a common question. So if you know this, and if you know the question, you will automatically know that what are the common risks that an insurance company faces, what are the common type of mitigations in the form of good underwriting, reinsurance, etc., etc. So if you know this, more or less 60 to 70% of the points will be very similar as what you see in, any of the case, any of the life insurance or any of the health insurance, or let's say car insurance or fire insurance or any random insurance. The pattern of answer will be same, slightly the points might change, okay, not just too much. So you just need to understand what are the type of questions that can come on a homogeneous basis. Because see, single, you will see there'll be so many questions which are random. Okay, there is no pattern, they are random, they are asked only one time. There'll be many questions. If you are solving 40 questions around a chapter, out of 40, there'll be 20 questions which will be all random. Just ask one time at all. You cannot write those down because this is something which cannot be predicted. But out of the remaining 20 questions, there'll be 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5 questions in groups which would have similar characteristics. Okay, so noting them down, understanding them, and targeting to be better at them is somewhere where we can focus. And out here, through that focus itself, we can get easily 40-45% of the marks. Because yes, lot of things comes, not, these are not direct questions. Okay, these are not direct questions from course notes. Let's say course notes talk about bond market, equity markets, and these questions will talk about some weird non-convertible equity or non-convertible bond or something like that. Okay, so that's how. But still, you understand what are the characteristics of bond and equity. And what if the question is around convertible bond? You can mention it. That should be still something in your zone. Okay. If at all a question comes that this is the company XYZ and this is the company's profile, the company is planning to buy this bond. How will this bond be helpful? And something very weird. So this is completely out of the box. Okay. This is not relevant to the chapter, but yes, even these questions come where you have to use a lot of your understanding. So that's where initially we can focus one step at a time, where what are the questions similar to the course notes that they can ask. We need to be strong with it. That will be 40 to 45%. And the remaining ones, yes, we have to use on the ground, on the paper smartness to tackle them in the best possible way. So the best thing about this is while writing the tests, okay, while you go and write the tests, you will automatically realize, that how your answer structures are and whether you are writing these tests correctly or not. So these tests will be personally checked by me, and I give comments. I give detailed comments around each of these tests so that I understand how have you actually written the same. And I help you to, this basically helps to structure your answer better. You can understand that whether your points are repeated or not. So a quick sample example of what I am talking about is, yes, this is the way in which I keep checking papers. Okay, so paper writing and paper checking is very important. Reason being, I give a lot of time dedicated to it. So if at all someone is writing it, as you can see my comments, that it is not explained why are you focusing on this question, you have to mention on this. Okay, the question talks about this and why are you writing writing this. So my comments will be very well in rhyme. There are two questions in one. Why have you written it all directly? So all of these questions will and pointers will help you to understand that, this is how you have to structure your answer. Sometimes you will write everything properly, so you will get marks, but later you will get my comments as well. What are things have you missed? Such a random point. Why have you written it? It's simple to not include it. Whatever, right? So this is how the paper checking goes around, and this is how they are looked at in detail. This is what will help you to actually understand where you're making a mistake. Again, my point is not to ensure that yes, you made a mistake in that question. No, my point is to change your approach of writing and ensure that your answers have a certain quality in them, so that whatever questions come in, you write in a particular order and you keep getting marks alongside. Okay, so that is the plan. So we talked about these particular sessions that we'll be having. I'll be giving you targets for each week, and you need to complete watching those chapters, complete watching those recorded lectures of the chapters. So what I want you to do it, just sit down from whenever you are starting, just find a very good, muhurat or a very good auspicious day to start your CP1. It's a big paper, definitely. So start it and keep going on with the recorded lectures. Keep going through every 2 to 3 days. One chapter should be completed. Okay, meet my targets definitely, but stay ahead of that, because later on, you will find a lot of things coming at you and you might slow down. So the best thing is, if you feel you have time, just start completing more and more of the recorded lectures. The reason being, yes, they'll be discussed in detail in the live sessions. In the live sessions, we will discuss what questions can be asked around the same, what different case study based areas can come in the same, how do we phrase the answers and write the answers, and we will also discuss few questions from the revision notebooklets on how do you structure your answer process. So our approach in live lectures will be more directly oriented to the paper and the learning based. Trust me, in CP1, learning is not difficult. You will not find very difficult concepts. You will read it once, read it twice, and you'll understand what they're talking about. You will watch my recorded lectures and you'll understand how the whole subject is all about. You will not find very difficult things which is completely unknown to you. So there are very few chapters coming up with a lot of new information and tricky information. But whenever they're a lot more trickier, the chances of that coming in the exam reduces, because it's a very specific area. Right. Let's say if they talk about define a Eurobond or define a particular yield curve theory. So yield curve theories are there in chapter 11, but this is very specific. Okay, you cannot have case study based questions around that, and you cannot have application based questions. So that rarely comes in the exam. So we will discuss those all in the live lectures of what all things can have lot more case study and judgmental based questions, and what all things are very specific, very direct, very small area, and cannot ask, cannot come, cannot the examiners cannot think through multiple questions around that. So that is how we will look at each and every group of chapters. 2 to 3 chapters combined in one lecture. Just a quick summary of the Actuarial Academy. So out here, there won't be 3 modes. Again, depends on the batch size. Last time we had a batch size of, like I said, somewhat around 23 to 24. So in that case, and everyone was Mumbai based. So we had 3 to 4 offline sessions in Mumbai as well. So I don't mind taking offline sessions, provided we have a batch size of more than 10. And yes, so even offline is there. Online lectures like this will be conducted. There'll be pre-recorded lectures as well. Now, you might just reach out to any of the previous CP1 batch. The whole batch people were there in their 3rd year. Okay, 2nd year, 3rd year, or freshly graduates. So we help them with a lot of job offers. Whenever it used to come to our team, we used to forward it to them and help them with the interview preparations as well. So all the access to our workshops, resume buildings will be available to you. All these theoretical concepts will be taught with, practical application point of view, that how a question can come and how you can apply the same. There'll be booklet wise tests and mock tests as well, which will be taken. Doubt solvings are there on the group, as well as monthly 1 month session. Depends on how much portion is done and whether there are doubts or not, can be conducted. And yes, there will be complete concept clarity, and major importantly, that the portion will be completed on time so that later on you have ample time to prep for your past paper solving. I want everyone to solve 3 of my mock tests and even few of the past papers. This is something which will give you the exam like feel, and this is something which can actually help you to get ready for the exam. Because see, sometimes in these papers, reading things will make you feel that yes, you know everything. But when you sit and actually look at the question and start writing it, this is where you will be stuck. So that's the example that I keep giving you. If you want to play cricket in the stadium, you can't play cricket by just watching the cricket, right? Yes, by watching it, you can understand the technique, the batting style, the swing and everything. But actually, you have to enter the field, play some mock matches, right? Play some other matches that will give you the exact idea of what the pressure situations are, what the time bound situations are. So if I give you a question and if I give you 20 minutes to solve, everyone will be able to solve. But if at all, if it's in an exam time where you are already tired after writing 2 hours worth of paper and you have a 10 marker question and you have to write for 20 minutes, this is something which will be a real test for you. So reading, yes, it's important, but it will not give you so much help. And I always follow the 20-50-30 based rule. The 20% of your time devoted to course notes and my PPTs, 50% of the time to your core reading, which is all the past paper questions and the revision note booklets. Okay, 50% of your time to the revision note booklets reading, and the remaining 30% to tests and more XCs questions, IAI questions, past papers, so on and so forth. Okay, so imagine 20% course notes, that's it. That's the value of course notes in CP1. So less and less as much as possible and more on the application perspective. So with this, I end the session. We can just take few questions. Any questions that you might want to ask? We will have a quick tracker like of a thing as well. I'll share it with you. The reason being there are 38 chapters and people might get, all lost up with the chapters. So every chapter looking at the lectures, then the practice questions, then the course notes. After a few chapters are done, attempting the test, revising them and solving revision notes, and then just check the progress of the same. Okay. Just check the progress, how much, you are going through. So this is something that will help you. Please maintain this. Please update it on a periodic basis. And yes, there are end dates as well. You might feel that yes, you have missed an end date or you are delayed somewhere. All of these delays will later on impact the last date. And as you can see, it's just 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, 3 days, one day. There are one chapter incomplete in one day. Okay, then all 3 days, 2 days, roughly those are the normal expected timelines to complete the chapters. And it's possible, like I said, 4 to 5 hours per chapter. Don't you think it can be manageable in 3 days? 5 hours in 3 days, that is a bare minimum expectation that anyone can have. Okay. And plus, you have your weekends as well. But on the weekends, you have to focus on solving the revision notes and attempting the tests. So that should be your focus on overall the weekends. Okay, your whole weekend, 2 days of your weekend can go in solving 25-30 questions of a revision notes. But yes, it will be group of chapters, right? There are 10 booklets. So we have more than 10 weekends. We have more than 15 weekends, right? So you can spread it across as well. There'll be public holidays, many things. So overall, it's completely manageable. Shouldn't be any issues whatsoever. This is something that I'll share with everyone so that everyone can have this at their own and keep tracking their progress as we move ahead. Any other questions to discuss?
So what will be the class fees and the exam fees?
Okay. The class fees is 27,000. But I am very not sure of the exam fees. Just a second. Let me open up and just check once. For IFOA, it should be somewhat around 35,000 or more. The reason being that the pound rates and the falling rupee and everything is going to get costlier. So it's not good, I understand, but it is what it is. This is the reduced rate. Oh, okay. So the fees has increased a bit, and let me check the main rate. What is the full rate? Okay. Full rate CP1. No, this is exemptions. Okay, just a second. I got the reduced rate one, but let me check the full rate as well. Where do you think they have mentioned the full rate?
It's given up
Okay, this
only.
is the full rate. This is, oh, my bad. This is the full rate. Okay, they have themselves increased it by 20 to 30 pounds. So as you can see, 418 pounds, this should come to close to 48,000. Okay, GBP to INR, and this is 418. 418. Okay, more than 53,000. So yeah, this has become costly. When in my time, I'll talk to you about, let's say in 2021, this fees was 33,000. So this was what I had paid. Again, the reason being that at that time, this pound sterling itself was not 128. It was somewhat around 90. So that itself gives everything away. So yeah, this is the main culprit, to be honest. But later on, yes, even they have increased the fees overall. In the last 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, they also keep increasing by 20, 15, 20, 15, 20 pounds. So even that has been slightly increased. But yeah, this is the expected. So even with card transaction fees and everything, and even if you'll be booking exams after 2 months, and every month rupee just keeps falling further. So this might become 132 as well. So this might get 132, 133, and plus the card fees should take it up to 57,000 is what I can say. So yeah, it's a slight expensive paper. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to know when are we going to start having the sessions then?
We'll be starting from the next weekend onwards. That will be 10th of May. And yeah, that then almost every weekend, 4 weekends in May. Roughly, we have 4 weekends in June. Similarly, May, June, July, and 3 weekends in August. So roughly we have 15 to 15, more than 15, 16 weekends. And alongside the weekends, like I said, we will have few weekday lectures as well. At the end of the day, after 8, 8:30, 1.5 hours short sessions. So that's how the whole trajectory will be overall to complete the portion.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Lectures will be there on holidays, if at all, whenever there's a public holiday coming. I think there'll be few holidays coming in August as well, and few ones in July. So even one holiday, that public holiday comes in, so we will try to keep a lecture around the same as well, so that we are completely there on track over the period. But assume, as you see, roughly there are 15 lectures, 15 weekends, and there are 38 chapters. So every week, your target will be to complete 2 or 3 chapters. And then in that particular lecture, we'll be discussing the respective 2 to 3 particular chapters. So that's how the purpose will be. And major focus, like I said, should be to complete the tests and keep writing the tests on periodic basis and get my comments on where have you made mistakes and how can you improve around the same, so that over the period we see a significant improvement in your writing style, and how you are taking a particular question, because reading a particular question in itself and understanding what the examiner's perspective can be is tricky, and people might miss out on that itself and write the whole answer entirely on a wrong track too. So we need to ensure that we don't keep making those similar kind of mistakes. So yeah, that's majorly it. Any other queries? We can decide the timings of the lectures as well. So what do you think, would prefer to you? We can try and keep that.
Maybe this time only like 4 p.m. on Sundays is good.
4 p.m. on Sundays. What if about Sunday mornings? But I don't want anyone to miss lectures just because, of Sunday mornings, you're waking up later. So, or else I'm happy to keep it on a Sunday morning as well.
Yeah, I'm good with anything.
Anyone else has any problems with, let's say, the timings around 4 to 6 o'clock on a Sunday? 4 to 6
Can we
timings
do
are
a
okay
bit
with everyone?
early, like 2 or 3?
Which would be okay. So yeah, we can 2:30 to 4:30. That's also possible. 2 to 4, 2:30, 30 is halfway time. So yeah, even 2 to 4 is fine. Everyone okay with 2 to 4? Then Sundays 2 to 4. I take that as Ashna, Moksha, Neil, you just mentioned. Okay. Aryan and Arya. Ganesh, I think you should be good since it's your okay. Okay. Ashna and Moksha with confirmation from you too. Okay, I'll put it on a group 2 to 4. It might sometimes stretch to 4:30, but yeah, that's completely fine. Okay, so that should be our timings overall. So we have set them as well. Post your fees confirmation. You shall get your app access as well as drive access. Two accesses: drive access for all the revision notes, your flashcards, and all the IFOA materials, and app access for all the PPT notes and the recorded lectures and our materials. So that's how it will be structured. Okay. Okay, great to hear. Anyone planning to combine any other paper with this paper by any chance? So heads up, try if at all you want to try combining CP3 only, or else don't combine any of the other bigger paper. The reason being most of your time should be devoted to this paper itself. Okay, so I'm not saying that it's impossible to combine. There have been people. Last time I had a student who gave 4 exams together, two of the SPs, CP1 and CP3 combined, and he managed to clear all 4 of them together. He was with me for CP1, CP3, definitely not the SP's one, but yeah. So SP's one he appeared from himself, and last year I had a student who gave CP1, CP2, CP3 all together, but in the April attempt, and he managed to clear all the 3 together. Ayush Muradia. So there have been people, but again, these might be outlier examples, one-off examples. We should not rely upon, that if something happens with someone, it might happen with us as well. It's a even luck-based paper as well. This is not a paper where like your CM2 or your CS1, CM1, CB papers where more the effort, more the marks. That's how it used to be. This paper is like CS2, where even if more the efforts are there, there are no chances that you will get more marks. No one gets like 80, 85, 90 in CS2, right? But you will find people getting 75, 80, 85, 90 in CM papers, CM1, CM2, CS1, CB1, CB2. Everyone gets 75, 80, 85. Even some people, exceptional people, touch 90 as well. Why? Because they put in more efforts, they got more marks. But CS2, that's not possible. They max to max reach 65, 70. 75s are outliers. Getting over 80 is, I have never seen anyone. But yeah, same goes for CP1, CP2, CP3. All of these papers are tricky, not easy to score, and lot more subjectivity involved. Even one examiner will give you one different marks. Another examiner might give you altogether different marks as well. So that's how this goes like. So we need to ensure that over the period, yes, we put in efforts, but efforts in the right direction. That's the important area. So cool. with this, if at all there are no questions. Yeah, Muksha.
What about the target and access for this week?
I'll put on the group. Everything I'll keep on posting on the group. The target for this week, I'll want everyone to complete chapters 1 and 2. So the initial chapters, take things slow over the 5-7 days that you have. Take things slow, but yeah, I would want some things completed. So if at all, you are completely sure of and ready to start, I'll recommend that yes, start right away. So that accordingly on 10th of May onwards, we start directly with chapters 1 and 2 and get going with our discussion sessions.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. Cool, guys. So thanks a lot for joining. And yes, it's a big paper. I want everyone to be super active and super focused throughout the attempt. Focused not in terms of difficulty. CP1 is not difficult. You will not find chapters that, oh, this is something I'm not able to understand. This is going over my head. No, there is nothing like that in entire CP1 that will go over your head. You will understand everything. Trust me on that. Okay. But what is difficult to understand is examiner's thought process, examiner's questions, and how do you write them? How do you generate ideas? Here we don't need someone who is book smart. We need someone who is street smart. Though there are people who are like, who get ideas, who think from completely out of the box areas. These are the type of people which, would find CP1 slightly easier and would be able to clear it. So we have to ensure whoever they are not, we need to focus on getting there. Okay, so that should be our purpose. So with this, let's end the orientation. Thanks a lot for joining, everyone, and let's get started from the next week. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.